good morning. Good morning to you all. If you got a seatbelt, go buckle up. If you don't, just take your belt and just strap it on your chair because we're in for a good one today. I'm a little nervous on this one. I'm a little nervous on this one, David. Good morning to y'all. Good morning to y'all. Put in TGIF. Put in TGIF this morning. Put in TGIF. Big J, be careful what you're driving. If you're driving, be careful when you do this. But I trust Latrice and Giorgio. They're going to crush it today while putting in TGIF and driving. Good morning to y'all. Good morning, Michelle. What up, Paul, Sherry? Good morning to you. Amanda. I can't wait to see what we got brewing down the Gulf Shores down there. Very excited about that. Got some news coming in on that. Let's see. Who else? Christina, Dawn, good morning. Justin, good morning. Justine's got an event coming up too. I'll need to reach out to her. Amanda and Justine crushing it in events. Good morning to you. Good morning, Sarah and Wendy and all these amazing. We got a couple Wendy's on here today, so you better be ready. Be ready for any Wendy on here. So good morning to you all. Good morning. I'm even doing this on my phone because my internet sucks. And I don't know what else to do with it, so I'm just saying it. It's not fun right now. So I didn't want to make any I didn't want to cause any problems on the internet world. So good morning to you all. My name is Coach Brock Zevan, life coach, business coach, real estate coach, DAD, and in a relationship. And today we're going to talk about the relationship. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to get her and I. We were in the green room because it doesn't matter. We were in the green room. I called Wendy at 8 o'clock. I was like, "Hey, babe, how you doing? You ready for the show?" And she's like, "What do you want?" She's just like, it's so funny. So we were having a good old time this morning. It started at 8 o'clock, but so I want you all, whatever it is that you're doing today. I told her and I talked, and I said, let's just be raw, let's be real, let's be sincere, let's just be open, because I shared with her, I said, God is going to put whatever it is inside of our hearts, inside of our minds right now. And it might not be for us, it might be for somebody who needs to hear this today. Because put a 5 in the chat if you agree with me, yes or yes, that relationships are hard. Put a 5 in the chat if you think that comment right there, relationships are hard, whether it's your personal relationship with yourself, relationship spiritually, relationship with your significant other, relationship with your kids, relationship with your parents. I mean, I'm going through hell right now. I'm not going to lie to you with Brielle and I. Like I was telling Wendy yesterday, I said, a teenager, I was like, this is going to freaking rock my world. This is a whole new animal to me. I love Brielle, but there's like yesterday, I dropped her off at school. I'm like, love you. I'm like, what does that mean? Love you, and shuts the door. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong, but it's just part of being a teenager and growing through that. And so Wendy and I are gonna just be raw and real, whatever that might take us in our conversation. For those that want to ask us questions, you certainly can ask us questions. We don't have all the answers, but we have quite a bit of a resume. Our resume is pretty solid. I'm gonna say. People say, Brock, how'd you become a life coach? Basically, a lot of shit happened to me, and I had to figure it out. Is really what it came down to. And it's the same thing with relationships. We've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of challenges. We you know I'm gonna bring Wendy on, but I'm gonna share this one funny story. So I come from a large family. I got five. I'm the oldest of five. And so the funny thing about us being all five, or with us being five of us, is I don't know what the hell my parents were thinking, but they had five of us within 6 years. So for like 10 years, it was constantly, I'm like, now growing up, I'm like, Dad, what the hell were you thinking, bud? Like, what was going on? Like, seriously, there was nothing else to do in upstate New York. And so, but I loved having a big family. And this is when God kind of puts something inside of you and does something, like he has a very great sense of humor, is when I prayed and I asked that I wanted a large family. Little did I know that would come in the blended family of Wendy and her parade of family members that she has, because she's about to share with you the orchestra. Like we have enough people, we can have a football team pretty much with our family here. And I was just like, God, I wanted a big family. I just didn't know. I thought it was going to be a traditional. Because how many of you just like you have this vision and this is how it's going to be, and God's like, oh no, let me just share with you how it's going to really look. And so I uh, I want us all because she hates when I do this Facebook stuff. She's like, "Ugh." So I was excited when she says, "I'll come on the show to start off Valentine's Day with her X's and O's." Put some X's and O's in the chat as I welcome my sweetie pie, Miss Wendy Smith. How are you, babe? How you doing? Put some X's and O's, everybody. She's probably, don't forget you're on mute, babe. You're on mute first. So she's going to say the profanity words first. She's saying the profanity. You're on mute. There we go. First timer. We got a first timer here. We're going to get her through this all. We're going to get her through this. She's probably like, now, how do I get off of mute? She doesn't know how. This is how it's fun. We're figuring it out. You should be able to click the button, go to the left.
Okay, I'm in.
There we go. And just like that, we're figuring it out.
Well, you
Give her
all
a
know
round of
I don't.
applause, everybody. Give
Yeah,
some fives. Let's
I
put some
figured it
fives
out
in the chat.
already. I figured it out already. It's a Figure It Out Friday. I figured it out. Paul, if you're on here, I'm still asleep. That's why I didn't even know I was still on mute.
I know this is a little early for you. Thanks for setting your alarm today to be with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, hun, kind of give us the 30,000 over foot view of you. Like, obviously, people know you into some capacity in some way, but they don't know the beneath the surface, the peeling the onion back. Kind of give us a 30,000 foot overview. When I say how big your family is, when I say what you do, like share with us that little kind of reel that you got. That
So, four children. My oldest is 36. That's Logan. My oldest boy is 32. That's Cody. Then my middle daughter is 20, almost 27. That's Alexis. And my youngest is Duncan, and he's 20. And then I have four grandchildren. Luke is 9, Rhett is 5, Banks is 3, and Landon is 4, almost 5 months.
all I wasn't telling you, she's got a big ass family. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't telling you we could have a football field. I mean
Yeah.
a football team.
Yes. Um, I am a daughter, obviously. My parents, I I had some bad luck in the health industry with my parents. My dad passed away a couple of years ago with ALS, and which is the worst disease I think that anyone can ever have. And my mother has been suffering from Parkinson's since she was 70. She just had her 83rd birthday. About 6 months before my dad passed away, I moved them in beside me so that I could take care of them for at least him for the last stages of his life. Um, what else? What else? I am a sister. I've got a sister and a brother, and I'm the baby of the family.
So she's very humble, so I'm going to share with you guys with all this family, everything that she like literally the house is like a revolving door. There's kids coming in and out all the time. It's like I have the vision like, oh, we're gonna have a nice sit down dinner. I don't watch TV very much, but like I just figured I like to eat. So it's like we'll sit down and eat. And then I walk in and then there's like a parade of people. There's kids running around all over the place. We got both the dogs. We got Leo and Gemma. And I immediately go back to, and she doesn't know this, but like when I see it for like a small second, I'm like, oh God, there goes the real. I'm like, Chad, when I talk about there goes, the rest of me, you're gonna get the best of me. Sometimes I'm like, I'm exhausted. I just want to go lay down. Like I just thought we'd have a little quiet time. And so I'm just like, well, there goes that. And then I just immediately go to how cool is this and how fortunate is this to have like all this family here. And and that's what I wanted. I wanted that. So like I love the chaos. Like the chaos doesn't bother me one single bit.
And they
But
all
guys, I
live,
want
yeah, they all live within like 2 minutes from me. So
they do.
yeah.
So when I
They
say it's a
have a great
revolving door,
realtor. All of them had a great realtor, and she knew that she wanted to see her kids all the time, so she moved them close to her.
and she does. But here's the thing about Wendy and her real estate, like she was a top real estate agent. Like she doesn't give herself credit. She at one point was making over $600,000 a year. All she was one of those rock stars, crushing it in the real estate market, raising all these kids. I didn't. I'm gonna let her share a little bit of her story, but I want to give her some props and credit because when I hear more and more about her story and how she didn't let excuses, challenges, divorces, single mom, kids, trying to figure out money, yet still able to make over $600,000 a year, working with builders, getting out there day in and day out, and still showing the best to her kids. Like that means so much when I hear that. That's inspiring to me. That's why I love powerful women on this show and leaders. When I love when she's still in the real estate market, balancing her family, balancing her kids, still making over six figures all while she's still balancing everything else that's out there. And we know in today's real estate market, hell, you're like the average real estate agent does like one deal a year, and she still balances all this and manages her kids and marriages and everything else. But you have to there's experiences that you have to go through to become the person you are today. And so, Wendy, our theme is Figure It Out Friday. And I like for you to kind of share with us a figuring out moment, a defining moment. I know you have many of them, but if there's one that you got that you could share with us that really could help inspire somebody today, that no matter what shitstorm you're going through, you still can make it. So what comes to mind when I ask you that question?
Uh, I'll start kind of backwards and I won't bore you. I'm going to make this a really quick version of this story of my life. But um, I got pregnant when I was in college. It was my second semester of college. And there's absolutely no judgment, but abortion was never, that was never in my mind. So I had to figure out, like, okay, what I'm going to do. So I married my high school sweetheart, and we had our first two children. So Logan and Cody are his, and to this day we are the best of friends. I love Wesley Hepler to death. I just can't be married to him. But even at a young age, I was 22 when we had Cody, and I said, um, Cody was 6 months old, and I said, I can't do this anymore. Um, but I will never ever miss out on a birthday, a wedding. I will never feel inadequate coming to a graduation or anything, and I will not make you feel that way. I don't care what happens from our life now, moving forward. We decided to have these two kids, and we're going to make the best of it. And to this day, and Brock, you know this, Wesley and Joanne, his wife, are my dearest friends. They are invited to you talk about family. Well, they're part of my family. They're invited to every birthday party, everything that we have, Sunday dinner, Christmas. They're invited to everything. And that was the path that he and I took, with only two kids. So, I was very, very scared. I'm a young mother with two kids, and I'll be honest with you, I got wrapped up in a man who was older and who promised me an easy life. Everything was going to be easy. All I had to do was fall in love with him, move to Atlanta, and he was going to take great care of me and the kids. And long story short, I realized the day that I moved there, that was a mistake. But because it wasn't just me moving there, it was my two other kids. I was like, I can't just turn around and go back home. Like, I've got to figure this out, right? So So I stayed, and I ended up thinking, how many people? I'll do a Brock. Put a 5 in the chat if you think that you can have another baby or do something that will make your relationship better. It'll make it more perfect. It'll make him nicer. It'll make him stop being so angry. All those things, right? So I did what I was really good at that point, and I got pregnant again. And so I had Alexis. She's now 3 years old, and life in Atlanta had gotten pretty bad. My parents would stop coming down there to visit because they could see the way that he treated me when they were down there, and so they chose not to be involved in that anymore. And I couldn't tell him how bad it was getting. Um, he was very controlling, very manipulating, very narcissistic. And I thought I was the only one hurting, so I could take it, right? Nobody else has to know. Until one day he put me against the wall in front of my son, Cody. And at the time, I remember looking at Cody's little face, and I looked down at him. I'm up against the wall, and I looked down at Cody, and he's supposed to protect his mom, right? That's your big boy. And I looked at him and I said, in my mind, he will never have to see that ever again happen, ever again. And I looked at him and I said, I'm okay. I'm okay. Well, what I didn't tell you is, he put me in a country club environment. We had a pool in the backyard. I didn't work. That's because he didn't want me to work. I didn't know all that going into it, but the only thing I had done up to this point was design work. And I had started working down in Atlanta without him knowing. So for the past couple of years, I'd been doing some design work for neighbors. I couldn't talk to neighbors when he was around or when he was home, but when he was at work, I could go and design a kitchen, pocket $400 or $500. I told him to pay me cash and to trust who they gave my number to. And the second time he hit me, I had a suitcase full of cash, and I knew when he left for work that I had an opportunity. And this is where, if you reach out to God when in times of trouble, he will answer. I promise you, this is a testimony to that. So I went out we had a beautiful patio. He left for work, and I didn't know what to do. I really didn't want to end another marriage. I felt like a loser. Okay, now marriage number 2 has failed, and there must be something really wrong with me. So I went out and I got on my knees and I prayed, and I said, Lord, if I'm your child, and if this is what I'm supposed to deal with, maybe to get him to a better relationship with you, then use me. If not, let me go. But I'm going to need a billboard-sized sign to get me out of here, because I don't want to disrupt my kid's life again. I don't want to go through another divorce again. And I wouldn't have had a choice but to go back to my parents in Charlotte. Like I knew nobody in Atlanta. So I went in, and I only had one other neighbor that I had confided with, and she is the one who secretly had been taking me to BSF, Bible Study Fellowship. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. We were doing the book of Matthew that year, and I'll tell you what, that strengthened every nerve and cell in my body every Thursday when we went. But anyway, so I came in and I called the first moving company that that I looked in the phone book and found. And the lady goes, honey, this is 4th of July week. No, we can't get you to the end of the month, blah, blah, blah. So I hung up, called my friend. I said, do you think that was my sign to stay? Like, what do you think? She said, no, I'd call another moving company. Because now remember, I have some money, I have cash in a suitcase upstairs. And this was only the second time he had hit me. I say that like it was okay, but I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm trying, can he get better? Can he, maybe it's me, maybe I'm to blame, but I also knew that the way I'd been manipulated for years is when he did something wrong, when he was mean or manipulative, I either got a nice piece of jewelry or a nice trip afterwards. And that was a time where I could get his forgiveness and I could make a move. And I'd already figured that out. I'm like, if I'm going to make a move, I've got to do it while he's in his sorry stage, right? Because that's when he would let anything happen. So anyway, she says, call another mover. The next mover I called, and I can't even tell you what happened. Like, it's the absolute honest to God's truth. So I get this lady on the phone. I said, and all I wanted was to move the kids' stuff. I wasn't trying to clean out the house. I was just trying to get, my clothes, my kids' furniture, their things, and get out. So I called this lady and she said, honey, I told her I was trying to get to Charlotte. She said, the Lord's looking out for you today. And I said, what? She said, yeah, we've got an empty truck leaving Atlanta. Can you be ready tomorrow? You can put whatever you want in that truck. We'll get you to Charlotte for $3,000. Sign me up. I called my friend
Well,
Sandra and I said, I got the billboard. I had the sign, So anyway, I left, got to Charlotte, and my dad said that was in 2001. That was in July of 2001. And my dad said, I got back home and he said, Wendy, he said, you're great at design work. You really are. And I don't want to hold you back from that. But now you've got 3 kids. And the only way to get out from under this last husband is to not need anything from him, such as his money, right? So you've got to be independent. And I don't think your design work is going to pay enough for you to take care of these 3 kids in the way that you want to take care of them. And I said, oh, you're right, Dad. What do I do? What do I do? And my dad was my best friend. He was my mentor. He was everything to me. And he said, you need to go into real estate. Okay, that's what I'll do. So I knew nothing about real estate. I didn't know I'd never bought a house, never sold a house. I didn't know anything. And here I'm at this real estate class when 9/11 happens. And I'm like, oh my God, nobody's ever going to buy a house again because the world's ending. But they did. And I was able to have a healthy career at that. But that was one of my moments where figured out and a true testimony to how God listens.
hmm.
I don't know. Do I keep going? Because I'm only in 2001. How are we going to do this in 30 minutes?
Well, we'll have to do it in segments. We'll have to do it in segments here. Um, First and foremost, I love the book of Matthew. I don't know if anybody's read the book of Matthew. I always just remember the gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But somebody here today, and it might be like, well, Brock, I'm not in that position. But the position that you possibly could be in is uncertainty, trying to figure yourself out. I wrote down this. Life has a way to second guess us. Life has a way to put us in positions to be like, maybe this is not right. Because, and I'm going to call Latrice out, not Latrice out, but Latrice is amazing.
He
Because there's
is.
many
I tell him
times, yeah. And there's many times Latrice will tell me, maybe, God, Brock, I got this sign. Maybe this is not it. And I said, maybe you just haven't seen the sign that is it. Because sometimes in life, we focus on the negative, we focus on the wrong instead of the signs are right in front of us. And he does. And I loved your prayer. God, make it into a billboard. See, God doesn't care what your prayer is all. He wants it actually to be bigger. We just minimize it. You have to ask big. There's a really good YouTube video of Ask Big about God, and he will do that for you. And What I love about your story is God makes room for us when we least expect it. I used to think all the time that, oh, woe is me. This is happening to me. I can't believe this, da da da. But he has to have these type of things take place. There's many times in our relationship with Wendy and I shared with you guys on the other day, and I'll pivot it back to you, Wendy, here after I share this. But I said it on stage. To be honest with y'all, for those that were in Nashville at the very end, it was the first time. Wendy and I have known each other for 10 years, but it was the first time her and I were actually on stage together at the same exact time, sharing the microphone. And I shared with people, and she doesn't know this, but I had a feeling come over me. And you all know what happens when I get these crazy ideas in my head. And I said, her and I are going to help couples. We're going to help inspire people that might be going through a relationship problem or going through something to help them. At the same token, there might be a sign for you to go in a different direction. And I'm not trying to be mean, but that's just how life is because I'm divorced, she's divorced, and I would say that we're in a better position today than we were in our previous relationships, but we learned to grow through it. But the biggest thing that I learned in our relationship is I was relentless all the time, but I wasn't committed. I always just wanted to achieve something. And once I got there, I was just like, oh, I did it. Great. All right, next. Until recognizing where I was in my life and recognizing the relationship that I was with Wendy, and in this case, it was about relationship, that I was relentless with her, but I never was committed. And just a couple weeks ago, her and I had a little bit of a rocky, what did you say? Last year's been a little rocky, hasn't it, Wendy?
Yeah.
The last year has been rocky for us. And some of you know I've shared with you like, hey, I'm struggling right now. I'm not too sure where I am with it. But we had to come together, and I had to change the way that I was thinking to be committed in the relationship and our challenge, because it's hard when you're both are going at it very strongly in your relationships and different things and what you got going on. But I made a decision in my life. So for those of you who are taking notes, I want you to write down, make a decision. Whatever it is that you're going through, make a decision. And I made a decision. I told it to you, Wendy. I can't remember when it was, but I said to you, I'm done being relentless and I'm now committed. And then I said, now you're really in trouble. Do you remember that moment?
I do.
Share with people a little bit about that on what took place in our relationship for somebody. I know, guys, we're going to run a little bit behind. So for those that got to go, but from your perspective and not like, woe is me, you could still tell me like, well, you were still an asshole, but like, I wasn't too sure, but like, walk us through that. Like, cause somebody today might be going through from being relentless and trying to figure out if they're committed into something. What did that mean to you? Or what were your thoughts?
I think um so I knew Brock was crazy when I met him 10 years ago. Um, I was a team leader for Keller Williams, and he had just brought his team over into my market center. And he, he was like hyper active. Like you couldn't, he wanted to do this, he wanted to do that, he wanted to do this, he wanted to do that. And a lot of times he would get ahead of himself, and I would say to him, let your numbers tell your story. Like, let your numbers tell your story. You don't have to go out there and spread your numbers to the whole world. Let your numbers tell your story. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, sometimes I think he tries to put, you try and push a round object into a square hole. And, that's where the relentless behavior I think comes in. It's like you don't care whether it's the right move. You just want the activity to happen and the results to get there. And when we started dating, for those of you that don't know this, now it's 2019. I had just taken my husband to Italy for 2 weeks. I was still a team leader at one of the largest Keller Williams offices in North Carolina. And we came back on a Sunday. Friday night, we'd gone to eat Mexican. We were supposed to go out with some of my older kids. And my husband at the time says, I don't want to be married anymore. What did you just say? That's another story in and of itself, and maybe we'll get there today, maybe we won't, I don't know. But we had sold our house, my dream house, while we were in Italy, because he convinced me that it was too big for us to handle. So I come back from Italy, my house is sold, the lady wanted most of my furniture. He doesn't want to be married anymore. And my boss at Keller Williams, that Friday, that same day that Brad said he didn't want to be married anymore, my boss tells me that all the women in the office are never going to let me succeed, and I'm never going to fail. So he's going to have to let me go. So in one day, I lose my husband and my job. A week earlier, I lost my house.
It was
And
a great week. Great
it
week.
was a great week, great week. And for those that don't know the Keller Williams system, when you are a TL, you have to give up sales. So I had given up my team for 5 years, which means I had not sold anything in 5 years, and my team had taken my business and moved on with it. So now I don't have a business, I don't have a job, I don't have a house, and I don't have a husband again. And so in that next month, that's when I transitioned to EXP, and not a whole lot of people knew what was going on. But because I had taken Brock with me to EXP and a lot of other agents out of my office, they knew that we were trying to build another big, group of EXP agents right down the street from the Keller Williams store. Well, so some of the guys knew when I wasn't showing up at work, right? They like, where's Wendy? Where's Wendy? Where's Wendy? And Wendy was at home in the bed because she couldn't put 2 feet in front of each other, and she couldn't form a sentence, and she couldn't get out of the bed, right? That's where Wendy was. And if she was up, she was drinking a lot of vodka. And everybody knows me, I'm a wine drinker, I'm not a vodka drinker. So that explains some of it, right? And then there would be, so I'm going back, I'm getting to this because to say that Brock is relentless, this is what he does. So I start getting up and seeing food at my back door. Like this, I'm looking at this back door right now because I'm in my sunroom, and that's the door that the food would be left at. And it started with, get up, come get the food. Get up, you're better than this. Get up, walk down the street. Get up, get up, get up, get up. And I was like, leave me alone. Like, who are you anyway? Get out of here. I'm dealing with my own shit, my own way. Like, I don't need your food. I don't need you to help me. But he would not give up. And that's when our relationship, our friendship, a deep rooted friendship, started because he was relentless. Now, move forward, I think some of it is, I don't think you give yourself enough credit, because I think you're relentless because you want the final product, but you also have, I don't think you did that just because you were relentless. I think that, I don't know why you did it, but you kept doing it. Finally, I got fed. Finally, I stopped drinking vodka, and finally I got my life together. But this past summer, yeah, we were, um, you continue to push the envelope with what you want. And, sometimes that's not what I want. A lot of times it's not what I want. Um, Most of the time it's not what I want. um, and we were sitting on the sofa one night and we were like, this is over. It's been a great run. I think we're, I mean, there's a reason we haven't moved forward in our relationship. There's a reason we've kind of stayed where we are, after 5 years or however many years. Um, and you said, I'm going to go to the Philippines without you. And I said, fine, go. And something happened right then. And I remember saying to you, um, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm done in so many ways, but I wasn't going to call it quits. I wasn't going to quit on us. Like, I didn't know what the future looked like, but I wasn't going to quit, because whatever this is that we've built, it's too good to not continue. Whether it's however our relationship ends up being, and you were just ready to walk out the door because you were angry, mad, and blah, blah, blah. And so when I said that, I said, I'm not ready to quit. You were like, oh, I thought that you were going to quit and I wanted to be the first one to quit. I didn't want you to quit on me. I was going to quit on you first. And I was like, oh, well, that's mature of you. I don't know. Is that the story that you were thinking of?
Yeah, no, I mean, I will conclude and close this out with us. And for those that, and I say this not because like, wow, our story is amazing. We want to share with you our roots, our shit shows that we go through. Like, we're real people dealing with real problems, because a lot of times just people see us on Facebook or see us doing these things. Like, there's challenges just like anybody else has challenges. In Wendy, I feel strongly that God puts people into our lives on purpose, because I think it takes a certain person to handle Wendy, and then it takes a certain person to handle me. And it has to just jive in whatever way that it is to handle the tides, the ups and the downs and everything else. And I use floating docks as a thing, because there's like a U-shaped ring that, like, it handles the tide. It goes lower and it can raise up. And it's all about the pole, because if the pole is big enough and tall enough, it can handle anything that you put towards it. And I feel that that's how our relationship is. And for those that are interested in hearing more about our story, or maybe like building a relationship, or you're trying to find yourself, or you're going through a divorce, or you're being single, or you're in the middle of it and all this shit's happening to you, I want you to put a 10 in the chat if you're interested in hearing the part 2 series. Put a 10 in the chat if you'd be interested in the part 2 series in some way. For those that watch the recording, you can put it into the YouTube, you can put it into the Facebook page. If you want to hear a part 2 of where we dive in a little bit deeper on what we're doing, because this is just the surface of certain things. Like, I didn't even, there's more to Wendy's story than I'm going through a 5-year divorce debacle at the same token.
And I mean, I'm
We
only
live,
at 3 kids at this point. I've still got another one
yeah,
to talk about.
I'm telling you, it's deep. But this is what makes us who we are. And we really truly, when I was on that stage, God said to me, you are going to help other people, and this amazing person next to you is going to be along the journey, because she brings something special. So, guys, put a 5 in the chat, or put some love in the chat for Wendy on her story today, and being vulnerable, being transparent. For those that watch the recording, put a 5 in the chat. I got a little choked up, and I've heard this story before. And I really, I want to say thank you, Wendy, because it's hard in being vulnerable in a relationship, and we're in public, and I do this crazy stuff every single morning. And so our lives are a little bit more exposed, but we truly do love each other. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. And we truly want to help people because we're both very passionate about it. Yeah, Paul says, thanks for getting out
It's,
of bed, Wendy.
yeah, yeah.
And so I do truly appreciate everybody that put the tens in there, because we will create something to be able to bring this all together. It is 8:56. Wendy, in about a minute, close us out. Anything you want to? What's your last thing you want to share with us?
It's 8:56. I thought we were supposed to end at 8:45.
We were supposed to, Wendy.
Oh God,
Luckily, I
I'm
know the
sorry,
I
guys.
luckily I know the guy who does the show, so I know the guy
Okay.
who does it.
I'm
So
sorry.
we're
I'm
okay,
sorry.
but we're a little bit behind.
I just dropped the phone. You know, I'm not good at this, hon. I'm not good at this. I can't even find myself now. Okay, there I am. What am I doing? Closing us out?
Yeah, what's the last thing you want to leave us with? And you only got a
Oh,
minute.
stay warm, everybody, and I don't know. Get your generators. I don't know.
Great
This is
job,
not
babe.
my
Great
thing.
job. Stay warm. Get your
Wendy.
generators. Uh, love you.
Thank you.
Love you, babe. Guys, I appreciate you. If you want to come off of mute and say thank yous, please do. For all of you, I'll be back Monday
Thank you,
morning at
Wendy. We
8:15.
love
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you, Wendy. That was
Wendy.
Thank you,
awesome.
Wendy.
Love you, girl.
We need the new Wendy show.
That.
All right, all. Thank you guys so very much. We appreciate you all. We'll see you guys Monday morning at 8:15. We'll be back with Chad Free. Till then, everybody, stay safe if you're in the storm. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.